Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson, he went on a Miami radio station and had to talk about why Bill Belichick is not getting any jobs. And basically he said that Belichick told him that he was willing to give up some of his power over personnel in order to get a job. This is pretty significant, I would say, because Belichick, for damn near 20 years, had basically full power over the Patriots organization when it came to personnel decisions. And now, when he's out of a job with the Patriots, it seems like he's more willing to open up and, allow the GMs and the personnel people to do their jobs instead of him. So I don't know, do you think this was more realization and growth of Belichick, or do you think it's more an act of desperation for Belichick when he knows that not a lot of teams trust his drafting, I would say? So realization or desperation for Belichick?
I think it's Jimmy Johnson's a good friend of Bill Belichick's. They've been good friends for many years. They have a lot of respect for one another. I think Belichick's probably been talking to Jimmy Johnson about this, and I think Jimmy Johnson wants to help Bill Belichick. And he's, Bill Belichick's taken some hits recently, right? They didn't get a job when most people thought he would. He was let on in Atlanta. They say he was offered the job. Then Arther Blank said no, he didn't offer him the job. So it's kind of unclear what went on there. Other jobs were available, but he didn't even get an interview. So I think a lot of people were surprised, and I think that. The stuff came out about Mac Jones, and Belichick treated him poorly and stuff. Poor Mac Jones. Poor baby Mac. And so there's been some negative publicity out there from Belichick, and I think, maybe he reached out to a friend and said, maybe you can help me out a little bit here and put a message out there that if I can get a head coaching job again, that I will see a little bit of my power in the personnel area. I just want to be the coach.
So, realization or desperation? You think Belichick's desperate to get a job, or more so he's matured enough to realize that he's not as good as he used to be drafting talent?
I don't think he thinks that. I think he feels like there's a man that has ultimate confidence in himself, and always has, and always will. And I think he probably thinks that he could draft good players. He has drafted some good players in the past, not so much on the offense, but on the defense, he's always done a good job there. So I don't think he feels that way. I think he does want a job. He wants to get in there and win those next 15 games so he can be counted as the winningest coach in history. And I think he realizes that if you say it's real, I think I would say, yeah, if you were going to choose between realization and desperation, I think it's realization that if he's going to get a job, he's got to put a message out there to people that, I'm willing to take a little bit less power so I can be the head coach.
So, as I've said numerous times, I've bashed Bill Belichick for his lack of ability to draft receivers and draft offensive talent. For me, this is an act of desperation because I think Belichick is smart enough to realize that the NFL has passed him by completely. And just look at his past couple drafts. He drafted a bunch of offensive guards, offensive tackles, and a kicker and a punter before a decent wide receiver in the 6th round. I mean, the fact that the glaring issue for the past 2 seasons has been no separating wide receiver, no dominant wide receiver, and yet Belichick decides to go out and draft a bunch of offensive linemen, which didn't really pan out that well anyway. A kicker who was the worst kicker in the NFL last season. A punter who was not bad, but still it's a punter. Before drafting a decent wide receiver in Demario Douglas, who because of his size will never be a true wideout receiver. He's 5'8". He'll be primarily a slot guy. So I think he's it's an act of desperation because he's realizing now that he's basically screwed. He has to give up his power in order to get a job. And I think it's pretty obvious. If you look at, he tried very hard, apparently. Mac Jones wasn't even his number 1 pick. It was supposedly reported that Belichick agreed with his staff because he said, you know what, I am going to hear my staff out more and cooperate with them a little bit more on their personnel ideas. Mac Jones wasn't even a Belichick draft pick.
What a mistake.
I wouldn't say what a mistake, because guess what?
Listen to his staff, and look who they picked, Mac Jones.
Well, would you rather Mac Jones or Davis Mills? Because that
know. Maybe
reportedly
maybe Davis Mills would have been a star under Bill Belichick.
it took the the Texans 2 years to draft another quarterback. If you're telling me you wanted to get Davis Mills instead of Mac Jones, yeah, that's a major disparity because one got benched for a significantly better quarterback. The other one got benched for a worse quarterback.
Yeah, well,
because Belichick got petty.
They both wound up getting benched.
That is true. Both of them got benched. But if you're telling me that Davis Mills would have had the same or better production than Mac Jones, I hate to break it to you, that's not the case whatsoever. Because we saw Mac Jones. I still can't believe this picture exists. You see Mac Jones standing right next to Patrick Mahomes at the Pro Bowl. He made a Pro Bowl and had a very, very good rookie season. And what was the decision that Belichick made that pissed Mac Jones off, that made fans upset, that made the media scratch their heads and say, what the hell is he thinking? Bringing his old buddies back, who were absolute cataclysmic failures as head coaches. Darius Slay still talks crap about Matt Patricia. Joe Judge, he was just an abysmal head coach through and through on a bad Giants team. His offensive staff was garbage. Defense was nowhere near where it is today. Joe Judge was just a bad coach. And you bring him in, and then not only that, you put them out of position. You take them from special teams and defense into offense and thinking that's how you solve some problems. I don't get it. Truthfully, I don't get it. For me, this is strictly desperation because I think it's very, very clear. All the rest of the owners, the other 31 owners, and now even Robert Kraft, so all 32 owners now know that Belichick is not who he once was, and you can just look at his history of acquiring talent, drafting talent. And we see that it's failure after failure offensively. Defensively, there's definitely some great defensive pickups that Belichick had. I think Keon White, their pick from this past year, I think he could be great. They drafted Christian Gonzalez, who fell into it was Belichick's arms. Now it's Gerard Mayo's arms. And I think he's going to be a great talent. He was hurt last year. Go out and get Matthew Judon. Great pickup for the Patriots. Defensively, Belichick is a savant. He is exquisite on picking up defensive players and drafting defense. But offensively, he is so out of sync. Completely out of sync, and he thinks that he's going to keep finding diamonds in the rough, drafting 4th-round quarterbacks and 6th-round wide receivers, and hoping they become the next Bruce Irvin or Isaac Bruce, excuse me, or I don't know, Julian Edelman. Maybe he saw Julian Edelman and Demario Douglas. I don't know exactly why you wait till the 6th round to draft a 5'8" slot receiver when people have been praying and begging for you to draft a decent wideout. And not only that, Devontae Parker reclaims his title of the lowest amount of separation in the league for a wide receiver. And Juju Smith-Schuster was, I think, 3 or 4 spots above him. So the two guys who he signed to decently sized contracts and a guy who he extended, they're both 2 of the worst wide receivers in separation.
Uh-huh.
And he spent big money on that.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jacoby Myers at Radio Row before the Super Bowl said that him and the Patriots were $1 million off. And if Belichick gave him the extra $1 million, he would have still been a Patriot.
Well,
it's just that type of idea where I could draft and find better than you. And that's just not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe with Gerard Mayo, he keeps Kendrick Bourne, which I think will be a phenomenal idea to do. Maybe he pays the money for Hunter Henry and bring him back, which I think, again, will be the smart thing to do. I don't know about the offensive line. Trent Brown's going to be gone. You got to sign Mike Owenu. He's gonna be worth a massive penny. There's a lot of things Gerard Mayo needs to do, but for this, I think, just look at what the other 31 owners had to say. There were, 8 or 9 coaching spots open, so let's say 8 or 9 owners. They said, no, we'll take younger guys, less experienced guys, and other coaches that weren't great as head coaches.
Well, everyone makes mistakes.
So you think what, the Commanders, the one that I'm going to completely agree with you with, if you just say that's a bad hire or an unnecessary hire, is Dave Canales to the Panthers. For me, at the time, I don't think that's a good one. First time as a major coordinator role or major coaching job was this past season with Baker Mayfield on the Bucs, and he gets a head coaching job the following year. I don't think that's going to work out particularly well. I think David Tepper is going to hopefully pray that he could do what he did with Baker Mayfield and do it with Bryce Young.
Uh-huh.
I don't see that happening personally for me.
Okay, well, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. I'm going to make a prediction here. I predicted Baker Mayfield would be a starting quarterback in the NFL again when you said he never would.
Correct.
And he is, and he's going to get a big contract as a result for his play this past year. I'm making a second prediction now. Bill Belichick will be a head coach in the NFL again.
Okay, hold on. I want to write this down. February 23rd. You're saying Belichick is going to go where? Let's see.
I don't know exactly where, but I know he will be an NFL head coach again.
Okay. If you have this, I won't write down the prediction, or I won't hold you to it.
You can hold me to it.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not going to hold you this. I want to make you a prediction on who you think will sign Belichick as the head coach.
Oh.
Because I'll list you a couple openings and you rattle off.
Okay, you tell me.
Because we got the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his job. Nick Sirianni, the fans do not like him, and there's a couple things that we're going to talk about next, actually, about Sirianni having a hot head and needing a security guard to keep him in check. Sean McDermott, if he fails again in the playoffs, we could be seeing him fired as well. Maybe, I don't think this will have Mike Tomlin might be out of there, but I'm not entirely sure. Sean Payton's probably staying. I really think the main ones are probably Philadelphia, the Giants maybe as well, with Brian Daboll. I would say Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Buffalo, and those are maybe Saints if they want to fire Dennis Allen next season. But those are the 4 or 5 that I think have a decent shot at being open next season.
Any one of those, I think he would be a candidate, and I bet he'd get an interview for.
Jimmy Johnson also thinks that he will be a coach next season.
Yeah,
he said that a lot of teams are going to be. He was shocked by the lack of teams interested in Belichick this season, and expects a lot more to be interested the next coaching cycle, which will be next season.
We'll see. I'll study that more carefully, and in a future show, I'll tell you where I think he's headed.
Yeah, I
do think that if Brian Daboll has another season like he did last year, that he will be fired, and that would be where Belichick would wind up.
You think Giants fans would like that?
The Giants fan would love to have Bill Belichick back. I really think they would.
Interesting.
And I don't know. I've heard Belichick doesn't get along with the Maras very well. So, but that was a long time ago. And if he really wants to be another head coach, and that was one of the only offers he had, I'm sure he'd go there. So I think Dallas is a possibility too, because Mike McCarthy, if he doesn't get at least to the NFC Championship game this year, he's gone for sure. And maybe Dak Prescott too. I don't know. We'll see. That's
going to be the interesting one, because once again, I mentioned it when we talked about the Micah Parsons with Stephen A. Smith, how that day a report came out by, I believe, Jordan Schultz, who said that Dak could be, getting that $60 million a year contract and resetting the quarterback market. Well, I believe this is the last year of his contract, so I don't know if Jerry Jones wants to deal that out. And if Belichick comes in, for sure he's not going to spend $60 million and have his quarterback as the highest paying quarterback in the league. I don't think that's going to happen. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.